In the 50s of the past century, a Canadian neurologist called Donald Cameron came out with an idea that aimed to a completely changing in person's thoughts, as he used to see that person's thoughts come from two sources: memories of the past and his perception for the present. And in order for someone's idea to be changed, he must be exposed to a great trauma that destroys the past and nullifies his sense of the present. The summary of this shock theory is: if you want to make the other submit to you your ideas and your decisions, you must first subject him to a great trauma that makes him surrender to you and everything you command him to do. After that, the American economist Milton Friedman applied the theory of shock, not on individuals but on people, in order to allow America to control entire countries by exploiting disasters that occur in countries or making these disasters if necessary. So the country enters into a dark tunnel and people will be paralyzed in thinking, and then they would be thirsty for any solution that would get them out of this crisis, even if the price was to abandon their conviction. The United States of America applied this theory to its biggest enemy, which was the Soviet Union. The President Ronald Reagan isolated the Soviet economy from the rest of the world and lowered oil prices, which was the most important source of revenue for the Soviet economy, which exposed the Union to an economic shock. The result of that was the Perestroika project, or the revolution of millions, that seeking to abolish the Soviet Union and convert to the capitalism, something that Russian people wouldn't have accepted had it not been for the shock that they were subjected to. And here in Sudan, the idea of normalization with Israel was not under discussion, but with the succession of shocks, we lost our sense of the present, and we were looking for any solution to get us out of this crisis as well. And all the pictures that made us refuse to recognize Israel, let alone normalize with it, and to disappear from our memories, such pictures like the picture of Muhammad al-Durra with his father, and the picture of the baby Iman, and the assassination of Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. The theory of shock says that when the people's awareness is absent and they are unable to understand what's going on around them, and there is no visible solution on the horizon to bring them out of the bad reality, then they will be ready to accept ready-made external solutions that were impossible to be accepted previously. And the current talk is that by normalizing with Israel, we will achieve economic progress and get out of the list of countries that sponsor terrorism. But let me clarify two things. Firstly, there is a list. This list is for the poorest countries in the world, according to the Global Finance Index. All of them are normalizing with Israel and do not have U.S. sanction. So what have they gained? And the second thing is, lifting Sudan's name from the terrorism supporters list is not linked to normalization with Israel, but is mainly related to the payment of the compensation for the victims of the bombing of American embassies in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam, that estimated with hundreds of millions of dollars. And not to forget that Israel won't allow a young country like Sudan, that 70% of its population are under 25 years old, with all these resources, to have economic power and to represent later a threat to Israel's national security. But what we will gain is debts and loans that root the humiliation and concentrate our subordinating to them. Also, the international norms require that the agreement that concluded by the executive branch of the state should be submitted to an elected parliament to be approved. Otherwise, it's not equal to the value of the ink in which it was written. But, as Almighty God says, لَعَمْرِكَ إِنَّهُمْ لَفِي سَكْرَتِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ.